The engine purred to a stop as Maya Kapoor tightened her grip on the steering wheel. The small town of Raygunj looked exactly the same. Calm streets, sleepy cafes, and faces that once knew her name. Only now, she wasn't the same woman who had left it behind. She had returned, not to reminisce, but to destroy. A soft breeze swept through her open window, carrying with it the scent of wet soil and old memories. Memories she had spent 5 years trying to bury. The betrayal, the heartbreak, the day Arjun Mehra, the man she had loved beyond reason, shattered her life with a single lie. Maya stepped out of the car, her heels striking the pavement like a declaration of war. Dressed in a crisp black suit and crimson lipstick, she looked every bit the powerful woman she had become, confident, dangerous, and utterly in control. But beneath that armor, her heart thudded with a rhythm she couldn't silence. She wasn't here to feel. She was here to end him. As she walked past familiar streets, whispers followed her. Is that Maya Kapoor? She came back. She has some nerve after what happened. Maya ignored them all. People loved gossip, but no one knew the truth. How Arjun had framed her father for corporate fraud, driving him to a fatal heart attack. No one knew the tears she'd shed or the nights she'd spent plotting her revenge. Now, 5 years later, fate had handed her the perfect opportunity. She had been hired under a different name, as the new business consultant at Mehra Group of Industries. His company, his empire, his pride. Her plan was simple: get close, earn his trust, and destroy him from within. Piece by piece, smile by smile. As she entered the glass doors of the building, a shiver ran down her spine. His name was everywhere, on the walls, the files, the very air she breathed. She could almost hear his deep voice again, whispering the promises he had once made. I'll never hurt you, Maya. You're my forever. She laughed bitterly under her breath. Forever had lasted only until he got what he wanted. The receptionist looked up. Good morning. Miss Senator, Mr. Mehra will see you now. Maya's fingers tightened around her handbag. Miss Sen, her new name, her disguise. She walked toward the glass office at the end of the hall, the door slightly ajar. And there he was, Arjun Mehra, still impossibly handsome, still calm and composed. But there was something different about him. A quiet sadness behind his confident smile. His once dark eyes seemed heavier, as if they carried years of regret. Maya, he began, then paused, confused. I mean, Miss Senator, welcome to the team. His voice was smooth, polite, but it hit her like a bullet. The sound she had once dreamed about now filled her with rage. She smiled faintly. Thank you, Mr. Mehra. I'm looking forward to working with you. Their eyes met, strangers on the surface, but bound by a history neither could forget. And for a fleeting moment, his gaze softened, as if he could sense the ghost of the woman he'd lost. But Maya looked away, hiding the storm in her heart. She wasn't that woman anymore. She was vengeance wrapped in silk. And by the time she was done, Arjun Mehra would have nothing left. Not his company, not his peace, not even his heart. The days that followed were carefully calculated. Maya had slipped into her new identity as Ananya Sen, the poised consultant with flawless credentials and an air of quiet brilliance. No one in the company suspected who she truly was, not even Arjun Mehra himself. Every morning, she walked through the shining corridors of Mehra Group, her heels echoing with purpose. Every meeting, every smile, every polite exchange was a step closer to the destruction she had planned for 5 long years. Revenge wasn't a moment. It was a process, and Maya was a patient woman. Her first task was simple: earn his trust. Arjun had always admired intelligence, and Maya knew exactly how to use that to her advantage. In board meetings, while others stumbled through presentations, she spoke with clarity and control, her voice calm, her mind sharp. She offered solutions no one else dared to propose. She challenged his strategies, questioned his decisions, but always with grace. And Arjun noticed. After one such meeting, he caught up to her by the glass elevators. You have an unusual way of seeing things, Miss Sen, he said, eyes studying her. Maya turned slightly, offering a professional smile. I find that sometimes, The unusual way is the right one. He chuckled softly, a sound that once melted her heart. You remind me of someone I used to know. Her smile didn't falter, but her pulse did. You do know her. She wanted to whisper. You destroyed her. Instead, she said lightly, must have been someone remarkable. For a brief moment, his eyes softened. She was. And just like that, he walked away, leaving her with a storm she wasn't ready to feel. Weeks passed, and the lines between pretense and reality began to blur. Maya found herself studying Arjun more than she should have, not out of hatred, but confusion. He wasn't the arrogant man she had imagined. He treated his employees kindly, spoke with humility, and worked tirelessly. He didn't flaunt his wealth or power. He seemed lonely. Sometimes she caught him staring at the photograph on his desk, one she couldn't quite see from her seat. His face would soften, eyes distant, lost in memories. And every time she saw that look, something inside her twisted painfully. Is this guilt or grief? One evening, she stayed late to finalize a report. The office was quiet, the world outside painted in the deep blue of twilight. Arjun appeared by her desk, sleeves rolled up, his tie loosened. You should go home, he said gently. It's past midnight. I prefer finishing what I start, she replied, not looking up. He smiled faintly. Still the same, he murmured under his breath, then froze, realizing what he'd said. Maya's fingers stilled on the keyboard. Still the same as who? She asked, her tone even but her heart racing. No one, he said quickly. Just someone from another life. After he left, Maya sat in silence. Her heart shouldn't ache for him. Her mind shouldn't wander to the way he said her name, or the sadness behind his smiles. But no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't ignore the feeling that something about his story didn't fit. If Arjun truly betrayed her father, if he truly was the cold, selfish man she believed him to be, then why did he look broken? The thought made her furious. She shut down her laptop, grabbed her bag, and told herself that feelings were nothing but distractions. This was war, and she was winning. As she walked toward the exit, she caught a glimpse of a framed newspaper clipping on the wall. Businessman Arjun Mehra clears all debts of late Rajesh Kapoor. Her steps faltered. Her father's name. She moved closer, heart pounding, eyes scanning the lines. The article was old, published 2 years after her father's death. It said Arjun had quietly paid off all debts in her father's name and set up a scholarship fund in his honor. Her breath hitched. Why would he do that? If he was the one who ruined them. The world around her blurred for a moment. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was something else. But for the first time in years, she wasn't sure what to believe. The next morning, Maya sat at her desk staring at the company logo on her laptop screen. But her mind was miles away. No matter how many times she tried to refocus, the words from that old newspaper clipping echoed in her head. Businessman Arjun Mehra clears all debts of late Rajesh Kapoor. Why would the man who destroyed her family's name pay off her father's debts? Why would he set up a scholarship in his honor? It didn't make sense. And that was exactly what scared her. For 5 years, she had fueled her heart with a single truth, that Arjun Mehra was her enemy. If that truth cracked, what was left of her purpose? By afternoon, curiosity had turned into obsession. She needed to know the truth, not from rumors or documents, but from the source itself. So when Arjun's secretary informed her that he'd be working late, Maya saw her opportunity. That evening, as the last few employees left and silence took over the building, she slipped quietly into the records room, the one marked Private Archives. The room smelled of old paper and dust, filled with files neatly arranged by year. Her hands trembled slightly as she pulled out a folder labeled 2019 Rajesh Kapoor case. She opened it under the dim light. Inside were pages of investigation reports, legal notices, and something she didn't expect, handwritten notes in Arjun's signature. Ensure no media leaks. Kapoor was innocent. Cover all repayment quietly. The truth must stay buried for her safety. Maya froze. Her pulse quickened as her eyes darted over every line. Her father innocent? Her breath caught in her throat. She flipped through the next page and found a letter addressed to the board of directors. I'll take full responsibility for the loss. Leave Rajesh Kapoor's name out of it. The signature was clear. Arjun Mehra. Her world tilted. The man she'd hated for years had taken the blame for her father. Maya. His voice made her spin around so fast the file almost fell from her hands. Arjun stood in the doorway, the faint light from the corridor illuminating his face. He wasn't angry, just tired, as though this moment was inevitable. What are you doing here? He asked quietly. She swallowed hard. I was looking for some old documents. He stepped closer. In the private archives? Maya's pulse pounded. She clutched the file to her chest. I didn't mean to. Arjun sighed and walked past her, placing the file gently back on the shelf. You were never good at lying, Maya, he said softly. Her heart stopped. He had said her real name. For a second, time itself froze. She stared at him, her disguise shattered. Her breath caught somewhere between fury and disbelief. How long have you known? He turned to face her, his expression unreadable. From the first day you walked into my office. She took a step back, trembling. Then why didn't you say anything? Why did you let me stay? Arjun's gaze softened. Because I knew you needed answers. And I owed you the truth. Maya's voice cracked. You ruined my father's name. He died because of that scandal. I know, Arjun said quietly. And I live with that every day. But not because I betrayed him, because I couldn't protect him in time. He walked toward her, his voice steady but low. Your father uncovered a massive fraud within the company, orchestrated by my uncle. When your father tried to expose him, he threatened you. So I made a choice. I took the blame. I thought it would save both of you. Her lips trembled. You're lying. I wish I were, he said. But by the time I cleared your father's name, it was too late. The stress, the shame. It broke him. I couldn't undo what I'd done. Maya's eyes filled with tears she had buried for years. Everything she believed, every reason for her hatred, was crumbling like dust between her fingers. She wanted to scream, to hate him again, but all she could feel was an unbearable ache. Why didn't you tell me? She whispered. Arjun's eyes glistened. Because you'd already lost too much. I couldn't make you carry my guilt too. The silence between them was thick with years of pain, love, and things unsaid. The file slipped from Maya's hands, papers scattering like lost memories. She knelt down to pick them up, but her fingers shook too much. Arjun knelt beside her, helping wordlessly. Their hands brushed, a simple touch that carried the weight of 5 lost years. For the first time, Maya saw not a monster, but a man broken by love and regret. And in that quiet moment, surrounded by the ghosts of the past, she realized she hadn't come back to destroy him. She had come back to understand him. Sleep didn't come that night. Maya sat by her window, the city lights flickering below her apartment like distant stars. The file she had stolen, rescued, from the archives lay open on her coffee table, its pages trembling in the faint breeze. Each word she had read replayed in her mind like a song she couldn't turn off. Arjun hadn't betrayed her father. He had protected him, and in doing so destroyed himself. She pressed a hand against her chest, as if she could quiet the chaos inside. For 5 years, she had hated him with every breath, and now that hate had nowhere to go. It dissolved, leaving her hollow, lost. Her father's last words came back to her, words she'd thought were spoken in confusion before he passed. Don't blame him, Maya. Some truths are heavier than love. She had never understood what he meant, until now. The next morning, she returned to the office early, before anyone else arrived. Arjun wasn't there yet, and the silence felt heavy, intimate. His cabin looked the same as always, polished, orderly, quiet. But now it felt like sacred ground. She walked to his desk, her fingers brushing against its surface. Something about it caught her attention, a faint unevenness near the edge. She ran her hand along it and found a small, almost invisible latch. A hidden drawer. Her breath caught, She hesitated, but curiosity won. She pressed the latch. The drawer slid open with a soft click. Inside was a small, leather-bound diary, worn at the edges, tied with a single red ribbon. Maya untied it carefully, her hands trembling. The first page was a letter addressed to her. My dearest Maya, if you ever find this, it means I couldn't say what I wanted to your face. I wish I had the courage to tell you the truth, that every cruel thing I did, every lie I told, was to keep you safe. They were watching you. I couldn't risk your life. So I let you hate me. I let you believe the worst. Because if hate could keep you alive, then I would choose your hate over your love. Every single time. Arjun. Her eyes blurred with tears as she turned the next page. Year 2 without you. I see you in every sunrise, every shadow in my office. I don't know if you're happy, but I hope you're free. The world may call me guilty. I'll accept that. But your silence. That's my real punishment. Another page, another year. Year 4. I created the scholarship in your father's name today. Maybe it's foolish, but I wanted the world to remember him as the man he truly was. Honest, brave, kind. Just like his daughter. Just like you. Her tears fell freely now, blotting the ink. Every word carried a weight she couldn't bear. A truth she had been blind to, buried beneath anger and loss. Maya. The voice broke her trance. She turned sharply. Arjun stood at the doorway, expression unreadable. For a moment, neither spoke. The diary trembled in her hands. Finally, she whispered, You wrote these? He exhaled slowly, stepping closer. I never thought you'd find them. Why didn't you tell me? Her voice cracked. Why did you let me believe you destroyed my family? His eyes glistened. Because if you'd known the truth, you would have come back. And if you came back, his voice broke, they would have found you too. She shook her head, tears spilling. You let me hate you. You let me hate you for 5 years. I deserved it, he said quietly. Your pain was safer than your danger. The silence that followed was unbearable. The only sound was the faint hum of the air conditioner, and the echo of 2 hearts breaking all over again. Maya looked at him, truly looked. The tired eyes, the weight on his shoulders, the sadness that had never left. He hadn't been her enemy. He had been her shield. I don't even know what to feel anymore, she whispered. Arjun smiled faintly, pain softening his features. Then don't feel. Just breathe. For once, let the past rest. She stared down at the diary, at the words written by a man who had loved her more than his own name. And for the first time, she didn't feel anger. She felt grief, and something dangerously close to love. The next few days felt like living inside a dream she couldn't wake from. Maya couldn't look at Arjun the same way anymore. Every time their eyes met, she saw not betrayal, but sacrifice. Not cruelty, but quiet pain. The diary hadn't just changed how she saw him, it changed how she saw herself. For the first time in years, she wasn't a woman chasing vengeance. She was a woman standing at the edge of truth, trying to gather the courage to face it. But truth, she was learning, never came alone. It always dragged danger behind it. It began with a phone call, an unknown number, a distorted voice. Stop digging, Maya Kapoor. Some things are better buried. The voice was low, calm, and it froze her blood. She tried to call back, but the number was already disconnected. Her hands trembled as she set the phone down. How did they know her real name? That night, she couldn't sleep. She stared out her window, the city shimmering in silence, while her mind replayed Arjun's words from days ago. If you came back, they would find you too. He had been right. Someone was watching her. The next morning, Maya stormed into Arjun's office, slamming the door shut behind her. They know who I am, she said breathlessly. I got a call. Someone warned me to stop looking into the past. Arjun froze. What number? I don't know. It disappeared after one call. He cursed under his breath and grabbed his phone. I told you this would happen if you started digging. They've been quiet for years, but you coming back woke them up. Maya frowned. Who are they? He looked at her, eyes full of something darker than fear. My uncle's associates. The men who ran the fraud your father discovered. They think I still have the evidence. Do you? He hesitated, and that was all the answer she needed. Arjun, she whispered. You kept proof. I kept it locked away, he said. But now that you're involved, they'll come for you too. You shouldn't have come back, Maya. Her eyes filled with tears. Anger and love tangled in her chest. You think I'd let you fight this alone again? He looked at her then, really looked, and for a moment his guard broke. That night, the company building was quiet. Maya stayed late, helping Arjun secure documents. She had insisted on staying despite his protests. But danger came faster than either expected. The power flickered once, then twice, before the entire building went dark. A moment later, the sound of footsteps echoed in the corridor. Heavy, purposeful. Stay behind me, Arjun whispered, moving toward the door. Before Maya could reply, the glass shattered. 3 men in masks stormed in. Where is it, Mara? One of them snarled. Maya gasped as Arjun pushed her behind him. You'll never find it. The men advanced, one pulling a gun. Maya's heart pounded. She tried to move, but Arjun blocked her, voice calm but deadly. Leave her out of this, he said. She knows nothing. But they did know. They called her by name. Maya Kapoor, just like your father. Always in the wrong place at the wrong time. The words sliced through her. Before she could react, Arjun lunged forward. The gun went off, a single deafening shot. Silence. The men fled as security alarms blared. Maya fell to her knees beside Arjun, her hands shaking as she saw blood bloom on his shoulder. Arjun! No, no, no! He winced, gripping her wrist weakly. It's okay. I've had worse. Don't you dare make jokes now, she cried, pressing her hand against the wound. You're not dying on me again. He smiled faintly through the pain. I didn't die last time. You just stopped believing in me. Tears streamed down her face. I was wrong, she whispered. All these years, I was wrong about you. His eyes softened. Then maybe we finally got something right. Sirens wailed in the distance. She held him tightly, her tears mixing with his blood. Later, at the hospital, Maya found the truth he'd risked his life to protect. In his jacket pocket was a small flash drive labeled, "For Maya, when it's over." She plugged it into her laptop, her breath trembling as files opened. Emails, contracts, bank transfers, everything, the evidence that proved her father's innocence and exposed the people who ruined both their lives. She realized then that Arjun had never stopped fighting for her. Even when the world thought he'd given up, he had carried her father's truth like a secret cross. And now it was her turn to finish what he started. Hospitals had always terrified Maya. The smell of antiseptic, the hum of machines, the quiet despair that hung in the air. It all reminded her of her father's final days. Now, sitting by Arjun's bedside, those memories came rushing back. He looked peaceful, almost boyish in sleep, but the bandage around his shoulder told a different story. He had bled for her, again. Her fingers brushed against his hand, warm, strong, reassuring. For 5 years, she had hated this man. Now she couldn't imagine a world without him. The flash drive sat in her bag like a secret burning to be known. That morning, Maya met with Arjun's trusted lawyer, Mr. Khanna. A quiet man with sharp eyes. He had been with the Mehra family for decades. He listened carefully as Maya explained what had happened. The attack, the threats, the evidence Arjun had hidden. When she showed him the files, his expression darkened. These documents could destroy powerful people, Ms. Kapoor, he said gravely. Arjun kept this hidden for years because he knew the cost. What cost? She asked softly. Khanna hesitated. Your father's death wasn't an accident, Maya. He was silenced. The people behind this, they control everything. Media, money, even law enforcement. Her heart sank. So even after all this, they'll walk free? Not if we play it right, Khanna said. But we need Arjun's signature to make this public. And in his condition, Maya clenched her fists. Then I'll make sure he lives to sign it. By evening, Arjun woke up. His eyes fluttered open slowly, and the first thing he saw was her, sitting by his side, still holding his hand. "Maya," he whispered. She smiled through her tears. "Don't you ever scare me like that again." He chuckled weakly. "You're still bossy." She laughed, the sound breaking through the heaviness of the room. Then her smile faded as she leaned closer. "I know everything, Arjun. About the fraud. About my father. About the people who hurt him." He looked away, guilt clouding his eyes. "You weren't supposed to find out like this." "Why not?" she asked. "Why keep me in the dark when we could have fought together?" He sighed. "Because I couldn't lose you again. They made it clear if you ever came back they'd finish what they started. Keeping you away was the only way to protect you." Her voice trembled. "You call that protection? Letting me live with hate for 5 years." He looked at her then, pain etched across his face. "If that hate kept you alive, Maya, I'd accept it every time." Later that night, while Arjun rested, Maya sat outside the hospital room going through the files again. Something about them bothered her. A document she hadn't noticed before. A bank transfer signed not by Arjun, not by his uncle, but by someone else entirely. Rajesh Kapoor, her father. Maya's blood ran cold. The transaction had been dated 2 days before his death. She hurried back into the room. "Arjun," she whispered, shaking him gently awake. "There's something here you didn't tell me." He frowned. "What is it?" She showed him the file. "This transfer, it's from my father's account to your uncle's offshore company. It looks like he was involved." Arjun's eyes widened. "No, that can't be right. Your father would never." "But it's his signature," Maya said, voice shaking. "His bank ID, his code." Arjun stared at the screen, realization dawning slowly. Unless what?" He looked up, his voice barely a whisper. "Unless he was blackmailed. Forced to sign it before he died." The words hit her like a punch to the chest. Before they could say anything more, Arjun's phone buzzed on the bedside table. Unknown number. Maya answered. A voice spoke. Low, calm, and terrifyingly familiar. "You should have left it alone, Miss Kapoor. Your father understood that. Maybe you will too." The line went dead. Maya's heart pounded as she looked at Arjun. "It's them." He nodded grimly. "Then it's time to finish this. No more lies." Later that night, Arjun asked for his laptop. Despite the pain, he began typing, a full confession with all the attached evidence, addressed to the media and the Anti-Corruption Bureau. Maya tried to stop him. "If you send that, they'll come after you again." He smiled faintly. "They already did. But this time, I'm not running." He turned the laptop toward her. "If something happens to me, promise me you'll send this." "Don't say that," she whispered. He reached out, cupping her face with his uninjured hand. "Maya, I lied to protect you once. I won't lie again. You're my truth. Always have been." Her tears fell onto his fingers. "And you're mine," she said. Their foreheads touched. A moment of peace in the middle of chaos. The morning felt too calm, like the world was holding its breath. Arjun had refused to rest. Even with his wound still fresh, he sat upright in the hospital bed, reviewing the confession one last time. Maya watched him, torn between pride and fear. Every keystroke felt like a countdown. Just after sunrise, the hospital lights flickered. Then came the smell, sharp, chemical, unmistakable. Smoke. Maya jumped to her feet. "Arjun!" He was already pulling the 4 from his arm. "They've found us." Before she could stop him, he grabbed the laptop and the small flash drive. They hurried into the corridor, alarms blaring, nurses shouting. The fire spread fast, too fast to be an accident. Someone wanted the evidence gone. They ran down the emergency stairs, heat licking the walls, each step a battle against choking smoke. Halfway down, a shadow appeared at the next landing, one of the masked men from the attack. He pointed a gun straight at Arjun. "Hand over the drive." Maya's heart froze. Arjun stood still, eyes steady. "If I do, you'll kill her." "Maybe," the man said. "Or maybe I'll start with you." Maya stepped forward before she could think. "Take me instead." The man hesitated, and that was all Arjun needed. He shoved Maya aside, kicked the weapon from the man's hand, and slammed him against the wall. The gun went off again, echoing through the stairwell, but the shot missed. "Go!" Arjun shouted. "Get outside. I'm not leaving you. Now, Maya." His tone left no room for argument. Tears blurred her vision as she ran, clutching the flash drive like it was her heartbeat. Outside, chaos reigned. Fire trucks, sirens, reporters. Maya stumbled into the crowd, coughing, searching for him through the smoke. Then, through the haze, she saw him, staggering out of the building, soot covering his face, clutching the laptop to his chest. She ran to him and threw her arms around him. For a moment, nothing else existed. "You're insane," she sobbed against his shoulder. He managed a weak smile. "You knew that when you loved me." Before she could reply, the police chief approached them. "We have your statement and the evidence, Mr. Mehra. Once this goes public, they'll have nowhere to hide." Arjun handed him the drive with shaking hands. "Make it count." Maya looked up at him, realizing what he'd just done. He had finally let go of the last secret. "You'll lose everything," she whispered. He shook his head. "Not everything. Not you." Hours later, the fire was out. The hospital was in ruins, but the files had already been uploaded to every major news network. By noon, the names of Arjun's uncle and his partners were everywhere. Corruption, fraud, threats, even murder. Justice had finally begun. Maya sat beside Arjun on the ambulance step, their hands entwined. Neither spoke. The silence between them said more than words ever could. The man she had once sworn to destroy had saved her twice, once from danger and once from herself. She turned to him quietly. "What happens now?" Arjun smiled, weary but peaceful. "Now we start over. No lies, no running." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "And if the world comes for us again?" He kissed her hair gently. "Then we face it together. That's my promise." 6 months later, the city was waking slowly beneath a golden sunrise. From the balcony of her small apartment, Maya watched the light spill across the skyline. The same city that once held her nightmares, now shimmering with promise. The newspaper on the table fluttered in the breeze. Business tycoon's expose leads to major convictions. Arjun Mehra's name was everywhere again. But this time, it stood for truth. He had lost his company, his wealth, but somehow he had gained something far greater. Maya walked back inside, her bare feet soft against the wooden floor. Arjun was in the kitchen, sleeves rolled up, humming off-key as he flipped pancakes. He looked up when she entered. "Morning, trouble." She smiled. "You're burning them again." He laughed. "You say that like it's a bad thing. I call it crispy enthusiasm." Maya rolled her eyes, but her heart swelled. After everything, the lies, the loss, the fire, they'd found their rhythm again. They'd started over. Slowly, she went back to photography, the passion she'd buried after her father's death. He began consulting for small, honest startups, helping young entrepreneurs avoid the same traps he'd once fallen into. Neither needed the world's approval anymore. They only needed each other. Later that afternoon, Maya received a letter, old-fashioned, sealed in cream-colored paper. The handwriting was unmistakable. Her father's. Her breath caught as she read it, her eyes filling with tears. "My dearest Maya, if you ever read this, it means the truth has found you. Don't let anger steal your kindness, my child. I once believed justice meant revenge, but I learned too late that it means peace. Forgive even when it's hardest. That is how you win." The paper trembled in her hands. She felt Arjun step up behind her, his arm wrapping around her shoulders. "What is it?" he asked softly. She handed him the letter, smiling through her tears. "It's his blessing. He wanted me to stop fighting ghosts." He kissed her forehead. "Then maybe it's time we start living for something real." That evening, they drove out of the city, no destination, no plan. Just the open road, wind in their hair, and sunlight melting into the horizon. At one point, Maya leaned her head against his shoulder. Do you ever regret anything? She asked quietly. Arjun smiled. Only that it took losing everything to find you again. She looked at him, eyes shimmering. Then let's never lose this. He reached over and laced his fingers through hers. Never. The road stretched on before them, endless and free, the kind of freedom that only comes after surviving the fire. Behind them lay the ruins of the past. Ahead of them, a new dawn. The end. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the story, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and share to others. Also leave a comment to share your thought about the story.